Jared Higgins, more commonly known as Juice WRLD, was one of the biggest megastars on the planet at his peak. His melodic drug-induced love ballads cater to a generation after the tragic death of xxxtentacion, whose vulnerability and emotion in his music compared to no other artist that was out at that time, which set the tone for his legacy, where it had his high moments and also his low ones. But overall, without a doubt, we all know the legendary run that Juice WRLD had in the short amount of time that he was given. We all know how much his music meant, not only to us, but also for himself, where it became therapeutic. We all know how much his addiction had a hold over him throughout his short life, where tragically he met a fatal consequence. We all know the women in the past that broke his heart, which in turn he gave us some of the biggest heartbreak anthems. And we all know throughout countless amounts of released and unreleased songs, the shared love he had for one particular individual who he expresses commitment to, and without a doubt for sure thought that she was his soulmate.
But I love you, and that's the truth, no lying.
Ali Lottie and Juice WRLD first came into contact through the Instagram DMs in early 2018 when she first reached out to him, basically saying how much she liked his music after hearing Lucid Dreams for the first time before it really blew up.
And I had messaged him and I was like, I don't know if this is your like real page, but like whoever the fuck this Juice WRLD person is fucking fire. Like this music is like, keep it up. Like don't fucking stop. This shit's so good.
A few months later, while Juice was on tour, he drove down to Providence, Rhode Island to meet her for the first time at a hotel where he would profess his love to her. I was going to leave the hotel room. Write her a note. Do you like me? Yes or no? Circle and just slide that under the door. If you like me, still be here when I get back upstairs. And if you don't, I'm sorry. You're pretty. Bye. She didn't leave and would spend the next 4 days together. Ali at the time was living in Memphis and already owned a house on her own. But after those 4 days, she moved out to LA with Juice with her 2 dogs and never came back. But Juice WRLD and Ali Lottie's relationship before they were intimate with each other is very up in the air, especially for Ali Lottie's side. Before she met Juice or even knew about him, she was already engaging with other notable artists like Smoke Perp, Kodak Black, Little Skies, and Offset, with blatant tweets and pictures showing further proof of these accusations. Not your boyfriend anymore, I'm with your favorite rapper. Just landed in Vegas, where Offset and Takeoff. Offset just landed in Colorado, hopping off his plane right now. Anyone know someone in NYC to tattoo me and Perp right now? Let me know ASAP. Even tried to get one of Juice's closest friends and peers, Trippie Redd. I didn't mean to fall in love with Trippie. Ali even got her known nickname Ali Lottie from becoming a known stripper in Alabama.
And walked into a strip club for my first time. Walked in as a bartender, walked out as a dancer named Lottie.
But the most damning allegations against Ali Lottie's motive to get with Juice WRLD was her past history with drugs. Back in 2016, she was charged with the importation of metamorphine in a federal case, where she would plead guilty to. And many people allege that Ali Lottie first came into contact with Juice WRLD through her trying to sell him drugs, and even tried to do the same to Smoke Perp. And Juice's ex-girlfriend Starfire claimed that Ali Lottie played a major role to causing their relationship to end by manipulating and enabling him with drugs, and always thought that it was weird for a 25-plus-year-old female to be so into this vulnerable 19-year-old. But then you look back at her old tweets and it all makes sense. Even Ali Lottie's ex-boyfriend OD'd and passed away from a drug overdose too. So drugs and addiction has always followed Ali throughout her life, before she got with Juice and especially while she was with him. Juice even claimed that Ali Lottie taught him how to start snorting perks instead of swallowing them for a stronger hit in his unreleased song Mr. Heartbreak and seen in his 2021 documentary.
He was fucking sniffing perks, bro. I'm like, nigga, you sniffing perks? He talking about some, yeah, bro, that shit get you high quicker. He said, Ali taught me this shit. I said,
now, I'm not about to sit here and blame Ali Lottie for all of Juice WRLD's shortcomings and eventual demise, cause yes, while she probably did play a part in enabling him with drugs and other addictions he was dealing with, nobody put a gun to his head and made him take them. He chose to do that by his own admission in his interviews and for surely in his music, even coining Future as the reason he started taking drugs in the first place as a kid. Ali was the most vocal in the circle about getting him to stop doing drugs and taking him to rehab. Ali did more good for Juice than harm time towards the end of his life. She wanted to start a family with him and be right by his side for eternity. And I genuinely believe that moment that she really loved Juice WRLD, not just as the rapper, but the man Jared Higgins behind the persona. Now you're probably thinking, how is this a toxic relationship with everything you just said? Sure, her intentions with Juice in the beginning wasn't so bright, but she got her mindset together and overall tried to better his.
You're wrong! You're wrong! Literally, you're wrong! So suck a dick!
After the passing of Juice WRLD, the perception of Ali's love for him has slowly declined as years will go by. With multiple old tweets resurfacing on the internet not really in her favor, Ali blatantly targeting young vulnerable rappers hoping one would wife her, and most evidently literal videos of her being exposed for dissing Juice WRLD before she even got with him.
Need to stop fucking rappers. You have a small dick. You...
Oh, hell no.
I feel like her love for Juice was predicated more so on the status of him being a popular rapper, and not necessarily the person that Juice was. Yes, throughout their relationship, it did eventually seem like that she did develop that bond with him, but it was clearly on the condition on how much Juice WRLD genuinely loved her, and always embraced her no matter where he was or what he was doing. I'm personally happy that Ali did move on from Juice, and she's not still grieving about his death years later. I'm not one of those Juice WRLD fans who's like,
how dare Ali be with another man? She should be thinking and talking about Juice WRLD 24/7 no matter what.
Like, no, everybody has to move on in life, cause even though Juice WRLD's story is written and is sadly over, hers is still ongoing. And I would have hated to see Ali still on Instagram Live in 2024 trying to recollect memories about him crying, and I'm pretty sure he would have not want that for her either. But with that being said, you could have moved on in a totally different way. You ain't have to smear his legacy like this. I'm not really about to go in depth about everything she did to ruin his name, since I'm pretty sure we all know about it and see it on Twitter all the time, but the fact that she tried to sell a literal tape of him, his actual hair and personal clothing for a quick buck, and to get her current boyfriend out of jail with that money is a personal slap to the face to Juice WRLD. Forget the fans, cause this is deeper than that. He gave you a big platform. You being associated with him gives you so much opportunities that many normal people don't have. He essentially gave you a gateway to have an easy life, and this is how you repay him back. It's just sad seeing Ali going through this downward spiral, especially coming from a point of view where you thought Ali was gonna start bettering her life and use Juice's death as a wake-up call to get rid of the bad habits, not dig a deeper hole into them. But I guess in that sense, we do see Ali Lottie's true colors and how she really felt about trying to get with a rapper. But sadly, it's a revealing truth that Juice WRLD will never know.
I love you.
I love you.
I can be obsessed. Like, that nigga loved me and I loved him, so.
And she was my safe haven. Like, I would go to her and like in the very beginning it was perfect, you feel me? Like, she was what I wanted. She was everything for me.
Geneva Ayala was born on August 13, 1996 in Pennsylvania, where during her youthful upbringing, it was extremely difficult. Her mother was never really interested in having kids, and her father was too busy messing around with other women, not really being involved in her life at all. But by the age of 4, she eventually moved down to Miami with her grandmother, where she would cycle through different grade schools to escape bullying, and by the age of 12, she would return to live with her mother. But when Geneva turned 16, things would take a left turn, when her mom stopped paying the electricity and water bill and ordered her to move out. Her mom was also pregnant by her new boyfriend, who she moved in with, and left her daughter behind to fend for herself. She would start house hopping with neighbors, occasionally stayed at a motel her uncle owned in Hollywood, Florida, sometimes would stay with her grandmother, and when necessary, would shelter at a local park. She also worked countless hours at Pizza Hut to make ends meet. Jase Onfroy and Geneva first came into contact in November 2014, when at the time she was living with her then high school boyfriend, going through a strained relationship. And after one particular argument, the boyfriend would post illicit photos of Geneva all over Twitter without her consent. And once these pictures came across X, he messaged and insisted Geneva to fight him for her. Your boyfriend not supposed to be doing stuff like this. X challenged to fight the boyfriend at Coral Spring movie theaters in Florida, but he never showed up. And shortly after, Geneva and Jase began dating and insisted to move in with him in North Miami. I liked him. I thought he's cute, he seems intelligent. X and Geneva would sporadically date on and off throughout 2015, but would start to notice a shift in X's character.
Well, my anger took control, and whenever anybody would do anything to me, I would act out on it.
X around this time was gaining some steam and momentum off his music he would post on SoundCloud and started to develop his own buzz in South Florida with EPs like The Heartbreak Hotel, The Fall and Ice House, and a collaborative joint project with Ski Master Slump God called Members Only Volume 1, but was also gaining a reputation of becoming violent just as much as he was for his music. He had already spent 9 months to a year in a juvenile detention center for gun possession and would get charged again for committing home invasion, robbery, and aggravated battery just a year later. And unfortunately, during this time, Geneva will also be a victim of X's violent rage. When one of the first serious altercations that raised concern for her was when she admired a Snapchat video of one of her childhood male friends' jewelry, and X became furious and responded by smashing her iPhone on the floor and striking her in the face. I got slapped for no reason, and he kept acting like everything was cool. Later that day, X would hit her again. I was really lightheaded because the slap was so hard. It was one of those slaps where you hear ringing. 2016 was really the start of X's rise into the mainstream spotlight, with songs like Look At Me and I Don't Wanna Do This Anymore really gaining traction and taking off on SoundCloud, and by April would do his first highly anticipated interview on No Jumper. But 2016 was also his most controversial year in the most negative way you could imagine. In late May of that year, X threatened to penetrate Geneva with a barbecue fork and a barbecue cleaner after she was caught online being flirtatious with another guy, and X told her to pick one out of the two to put inside her, where she eventually picked the fork. X told her to undress and began to drag the tool against her inner thigh, where she would pass out before he could even follow through, and never ended up actually doing it. In July, the couple will move to Orlando, where things would traumatically get even worse, where X would threaten to hurt or kill Geneva literally every day. Even on one occasion, about a week and a half into moving to Orlando, X and Geneva were headed to a show when one of his songs featuring another artist came on, where she sung along X's verse, and when the feature came up, she hummed along his. X went into a complete silence for the rest of the ride and left her in a car outside the venue. After the show, when they got back home, X took her to the bathroom and asked Geneva why she was singing his friend's verse, and did she like him, do she ever go check out his Twitter, and questioned why don't she have those same feelings towards him, then proceeded to throw her in the bathtub, punch, headbutt, and stump out Geneva, while threatening to cut her tongue out for singing the song. When she tried to run outside down the street to escape, X would tackle her, causing her to fall head first on the pavement, and suffer injuries like having a black eye, a lump to the back of the head, scratch marks, and a large bruise on her ankle where he repeatedly kicked her at, and would often hit her with white plastic hangers, tried cutting her hair, and would hold her head underwater in the bathtub. In August, X would get arrested for a prior home invasion case he had back in 2015, and would spend a month in jail after pleading to house arrest and got released. But during that time period when X was locked up, Geneva would move down to Texas with a friend, but quickly moved back to South Florida with one of X's friends, where she ended up being intimate with him. In September, when X got out, he moved back in with Geneva in North Miami, and the abuse would continue, first finding out that she slept with one of his friends while he was locked up, and would put a knife to her neck and strangle her while calling her a hoe. Later that night, he woke her up and told her to go outside, then proceeded to pick up an empty glass beer bottle and demanded the truth from her, or quote, "I'm going to mess you up." She replied saying she already told him the truth and she was sorry for cheating on him. Then X dropped the bottle and slapped her, and then told her to go back to bed. A week later, the couple moved to Sweetwater, Florida with some roommates, and X was still violently attacked Geneva constantly, and it even got to a point where they had to step in.
Geneva was not allowed to speak around us unless X told her to speak. She wasn't allowed to more so damn near move. He controlled her.
In October, Geneva allegedly found out that she was pregnant by X, but on one afternoon, he told her to move from his bed and go out to the balcony. While outside, she could hear X on the phone talking to his friend that she slept with, demanding the truth. "You need to tell me the truth right now, or I'll kill you and this jit." Jit being the slang word for the unborn child. He then started elbowing, punching, and headbutting Geneva, and strangled her until she almost passed out. He then took her to the bathroom and demanded her to tell him everything one last time, or he would end her.
X was going to kill Geneva. Like, I really want y'all to understand, like, he was going to murder her. His intentions, more so that day, was to fucking kill her, like, on some real shit.
Geneva's face was so distorted that she couldn't even recognize herself in the mirror. Her left eye was completely shut and leaking blood, and she constantly kept vomiting. When the roommates got back to their apartment, Geneva asked them to take her to the hospital, which of course X didn't want to happen, and told her she couldn't go until her face healed. X then took Geneva to another apartment in North Miami Beach and put her in a bedroom while confiscating her phone, which she wouldn't be able to get back till he got arrested. For the next 2 days, she wouldn't leave the room unless she had to go to the bathroom, and with barbed wire windows, there was no possible way she could flee from him. If you're smart, you will stay with me until you get a car and have enough money to move into an apartment, because if you leave me now, you're just setting yourself up for failure. You're going to be homeless. Around 2 AM that night, X was in the living room playing Minecraft while she was in the kitchen planning her escape, but acted like she was making food and opened the refrigerator door wide enough that he couldn't see if she crouched down. Then she opened the side door and ran to the nearest main street she knew. Geneva didn't have no money and pleaded with someone to use their phone and called the only person's phone number she knew by heart, which was her ex-boyfriend who she left for X. The ex-boyfriend's mother later drove her to Miami Beach department and described her eyes as black, blue, purple, and every other color in the rainbow. And a police veteran listening to Geneva's stories was in complete shock, saying he's never heard anything like that in his entire career. X would eventually get arrested for domestic violence. Throughout the next year to year and a half, up till X passing away, the relationship between him and Geneva would become extremely convoluted with many inconsistent plot holes, but also revealing ones. Like, was Geneva really ever pregnant with X's kid, or was it a flat out lie? It was revealed in the transcript that she told X that she was pregnant with his kid back in October 2016, but their unborn child has never been referenced again, and many people question, was Geneva really telling the truth about her being pregnant, or was it really all cap?
Cap.
It was revealed that a prosecutor made Geneva took multiple pregnancy tests, which all came back negative, and we've never still to this day seen any baby bump pictures of Geneva while she was pregnant, or got any follow-up updates about having a baby. That theory just came and went. Even X would ask Geneva about the baby, and even allude to her lying about being pregnant. Another inconsistent plot about this whole situation was the relationship they had together after these accusations, where Geneva one moment would deny and backtrack everything that X did to her, then in the next accuse him of being guilty of the accusations she made, and it became a slippery slope at the time to us as fans on which side was telling the truth. Obviously, most people being fans of X sided with him, but the pictures of Geneva's abuse was very telling, and there was no way you could just look over that, and deep down as X fans, they knew it. As time would go on though, both X and Geneva would show a tremendous amount of love for each other and still had that deep-rooted connection which made them intertwine in the first place, whether it was through a music, spiritual, or physical contact. And no matter what you say about these two, Geneva and X are like hip-hop's Romeo and Juliet, cause no matter how dark that relationship got, that love between them was always there. And I would even go as far as to say that he loved her more than he did Genesis, and the only thing that kept them apart was the law.
She get on my fucking nerves more than anybody else, but she make me happy more than anybody else. Besides Mama Dukes. You mine now. And she was mine.
Trippie Redd and Alex are perhaps SoundCloud's most toxic couple that's ever existed, and it's not even close.
Man, shut up, bro. You getting on my nerves.
Shut up, fuck is you talking about? Fuck. Bro, get your fucking phone out my fucking face.
Trippie Redd and Alex first came into contact through the Instagram DMs, where Trippie would claim she would hit him up but only for music, to whereas Trippie would find a romantic interest in her where she would eventually become his girlfriend. Now, to a lot of people who remember this relationship between the two, Trippie and Alex online seemed like the perfect couple. Trippie would brag about all the expensive things he would buy her, they would travel around the world together while he was on tour, Tripp would always post her on his Instagram giving her hella exposure, and she got the best cosign you could ever get as an up-and-coming artist, which was a free Trippie Redd feature for her own music.
Do you really fuck with me? Do you really fuck with me? Do you really fuck with me? Bitch, I've been living lovely.
Though everything seemed all lovey and dovey between the two, there was major flaws that they had that was very obvious from the outside looking in. Whenever Trippie was out in public or doing an interview, Alex would be right by his side, but seemed extremely awkward and uncomfortable, with a notable disinterest while being seen on camera, and at times it seemed like that she didn't want to be there at all. Keep in mind, while her and Trippie was in a relationship, she was caught numerous times cheating on him, and his own mom and cousins got a bad vibe from her from the get-go.
She wasn't good for me. She was the devil. My mama ain't like her. My cousins don't like her.
But yet, Trippie would still take her back, even if the signs showed that he shouldn't have, and would eventually pay the ultimate price of his own embarrassment. Trippie would take one of the biggest L's in rap history, and that was when the love of his life, Alex, would be seen with his arch rival, Tekashi 6ix9ine, basically just clowning Trippie on the internet for the whole world to see after they broke up. And the craziest thing about this whole situation is that Trippie Redd predicted it before it happened.
Hey, before it happened, let me predict it for y'all. Alex about to fuck with 6ix9ine.
Now you would think this would be the end of the story between the two, and they would finally go their separate ways, but of course knowing Trippie, that wasn't gonna be the case, cause just about a year and a half later in 2020, he would be seen with her again all cuddled up, after the fact that she became a known thottie for a lot of New York drill rappers, started doing online movies with another struggle rapper to support hers and his career, and overall her 15 seconds of fame being completely over. Regardless though, Trippie still seems to be in love with her, cause even as recent as New Year's 2024, just after a couple months of him cheating on his longtime girlfriend Sky Morales by getting another girl pregnant behind her back, he would be seen again with Alex, buying her all type of presents and spending over $1,000 on her.
I don't care what nobody say. That's a clout demon.